on how to have a difficult and hard conversation. Yeah, so great. So check this out. So hard conversation. I'm gonna go through a couple of things today. Um, four things really, actually, that we have found that are helpful for helping to help guys have difficult, challenging conversations. I've been married for almost 36 years. It'll be 36 years in September. And yeah, come up, give it up for Mrs. Williams. And I can tell you something that in 36 years of being with the same woman, as a matter of fact, her and I dated for 2.5 years before we got married. We were together, I'm going to round it up, almost 40 years. I can tell you in all of our time together, we've had multiple opportunities to have hard or tough conversations, right? And so early on, I wasn't really skilled at having a hard conversation. I had to get some help. I wasn't really comfortable having a hard conversation. Now, I did what is referred to as the off ramp. What's the off ramp? The off ramp is when you are approaching that difficult or hard conversation, you take that off ramp. You avoid that conversation. You switch the conversation. Sometimes you have the conversation in a relationship, and maybe it's with your wife or your significant other, and they become emotional. We're approaching a difficult conversation, and that their response is the other person's response is to get emotional. That's an off ramp. I get emotional. Why do I get emotional? Because I want to avoid the I wanted to take the off ramp and avoid having that difficult conversation. But here's what I know, friend. Here's what I learned: that if you have the hard conversation today, you will enjoy having many, many more easier conversations later. So today is really about having a conversation about difficult conversations that leads to a better relationship. There are four things to remember as we go through this today. Number one is understand the power of hard conversations. Understand the power that's in a hard conversation. Avoidance only leads to resentment. Avoidance leads to resentments, broken relationships, but facing hard or difficult conversation head on, that leads to growth. So, friend, you and I got to condition ourselves to have a hard conversation. How do we condition ourselves to have the hard conversation? Well, if we value the relationship, we come to an agreement. We, meaning my wife and I, we come to agreement before the hard conversations that said, hey, hon, when we are having a hard conversation and these things start to happen, I want you to remember that we are on the same team. We are after the same results, right? So by establishing ground rules in advance for the difficult or hard conversation. Sometimes in having a difficult, hard conversation, my wife will approach me and she'll say something or she'll ask me a question, and not in a disrespectful tone, but it's a deep question. And as opposed to me having a reflective response, I'm awesome, baby. That's a great answer. That's a great question. I don't really have an answer yet, but give me a day or two to think about it. See, that's a strategy. I still want to have the hard conversation, but I say I'm not ready right now to have the hard conversation. I'm not prepared emotionally, physically, psychologically, whatever the case may be, to have that hard conversation, but give me a day or two. But number one is understand that there's a power in having that hard conversation. The second thing I want you to understand is that how to have courage over comfort. Have courage over comfort. See, it takes courage to have a hard or difficult conversation. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. I was reading a survey that was done on successful people, and it surveyed several different successful people. And here's what the survey determined: the survey determined that 85% of the people surveyed, successful people surveyed, said they found their success from an unpleasant or an uncomfortable situation. So understand that there is growth and success on the other side of the conversation. That's why you have to choose to be courageous over being comfortable. When I'm comfortable, I'm trying to keep everything the status quo. I'm trying to maintain a certain level in my life. I'm trying to maintain a certain intellectual or a emotional capacity of my life. But friend, you have the capacity to grow both intellectually and emotionally. That's why in industries and in corporate America, they have um, emotional intelligence is added to the equation. How do you respond during difficult and stressful time? That's a